You might be surprised, but yes, this is me as a child, and when I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with Perthes disease. What are the main treatment options? How can parents recognize early this syndrome? How can family best support their child emotionally during this treatment? Bad stage already, this one? Or?
Yeah, that's not good.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Functional OT channel. Today I have the pleasure to have here with me Dr. Ellery Clungston.
Hi.
An experienced orthopedic surgeon with expertise in complex hip replacement and knees. Today we are here to talk about the Perthes disease, and we will cover how to recognize it early, the treatment options available, and what this means for a child's future. Okay, doctor, let's start from a simple question. What is the Perthes disease?
Perthes disease is syndrome which is characterized by the loss of blood supply to the femoral head, and the consequences of that are hip pain, inflammation, and then the bone at the part closest to the body or the femoral head then dies off, then goes through a series of classic stages as the bone remodels itself and ideally heals.
Is it a rare condition?
It's rare insofar as the broader community. So for children, it's about 1 in 10,000 kids can get Perthes disease. Boys being affected much more commonly. I think it's about 5 to 1. So for a regular practitioner or people in the community, it's quite rare, but for an orthopedic surgeon, you would see it quite commonly in practice.
How can parents recognize early this syndrome?
The most common complaint is hip or knee pain for a child. And it may be in some of the younger children that they start limping without an identifiable cause. They're otherwise well and they start limping, trying to avoid using that hip. But equally, they may complain of knee pain, which is very common.
Can this be missed or misdiagnosed?
It can. There are other issues that can come up. Some are quite serious in the early phase, in which case if someone has sudden hip pain in a child, you do worry about infections in the hip, but this is usually a more slow onset and the patients are quite well. The early signs would typically just be pain, and then as the disease itself progresses, there are changes that can be seen on x-rays as well.
Is it genetic?
It's not a genetic problem. There is no real clear cause or real known risk factors. There are some associations that we're not sure what the relevance are of those associations, and there have been several theories throughout history, such as that this has been caused by an infection, or that there may have been some small clots that have gone to the femoral head, but no one's really been able to conclusively say what the cause is.
What are the stages of this pathology?
So in the early phase, it's simply inflammation. So the child would have painful hip or knee, and then that's followed by a phase where the femoral head itself can fragment. So the bone, because it's lost its blood supply and dies off, is then dissolved by the body. And then it is reconstituted by the body, which is why a lot of the management is based around support.
Why sometimes the pain is felt on the knees instead of the hip?
The knee shares a lot of the same blood and nerve supply as the hip, which comes from how we develop as embryos. And so the nerves that supply the sensation to your hip also go to the knee, and it's a referred pain, which seems to be a more common phenomenon in children than adults.
What are the main treatment options, and when you decide to go for a surgery instead of levidacides?
So the mainstay of treatment is non-surgical. In the phase, there's a very predictable pattern that the disease follows, and in young children, surgery is essentially never required. As children get more older and towards 8, there are some specific times that you might operate, but they're really the domain of very specialized pediatric surgeons. Beyond then, a lot of the surgery that is done for Perthes disease is more related to what's called containment surgery or salvage surgery to try and maintain the shape of the femoral head, to then try and stop needing a hip replacement earlier in life.
I still remember for a little while, about 3-4 months of my life, I had to wear braces like Forrest Gump. Not as long, but up to the knees, so from the hip to the knees. Do you think that they are necessary?
So in history, because it's such a problem with the hips then, say, developing onto arthritis, surgeons were looking for ways to prevent the femoral head from collapsing. And so there was a time in history where patients were put on bed rest for months and months and months and months and months. There have also been attempts with bracing and what's called spica casts, which is in order to keep the femoral head inside the round acetabulum to make sure the hip stays round. But unfortunately, none of those treatments have conclusively been shown to change the progress, but they're still done in certain cases and around the world, but less and less commonly as time goes on.
If someone discovers that they have Perthes disease, what is the first things that you will do with a kid?
It's mostly supportive management. So in that case, it's about pain relief, because to have a hip that's quite irritated is very painful, and the lining of the hip gets very swollen and is painful. And then to avoid impact activities, to again try and prevent that femoral head from losing its round shape.
Does it heal on its own?
Yes, it does. So as the blood supply leaves the femoral head, the bone is then resorbed, and the goal is that the shell and the shape of the femoral head stays the same, which allows the body an opportunity for the dead bone to be absorbed and new bone to be laid down through what's called creeping substitution.
Can children play sports? Because back in the days, I still remember what the doctor suggested me was mostly swimming and cycling.
That's a pretty consistent bit of advice that's still given today. I think most surgeons would be uncomfortable with a child with Perthes playing football, and it is hard for children to slow down and stop. And it's difficult sometimes. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So generally we would recommend that of the sports they do, cycling, water-based sports, which avoids the impact on that at-risk femoral head.
I still remember this is kind of sad moment. Me in the car looking outside and seeing these kids running, and I knew that I couldn't run. I know the feeling. It's not the best feeling that you can have, but yeah, there are other opportunities, because in my specific case, I started playing water polo. So first I was swimming, then I moved to water polo, and when I was 15, I also won the Italian championship under 15. So there are still sports that can give you satisfaction and the dream of being able to do something. I'm gonna show you now my first X-ray when I was 7 years old. Based on that, you can give me some thought about what you will do if a child in my condition was coming to you.
Sure. Yes, yeah.
Bad stage already, this one?
Yeah, that's not good.
So what would you do in this case?
In this case, looking at your x-rays, it would depend on how indeed that you are functioning and how your hip is working. And really the main thing with these kind of patients is you need quite experienced pediatric surgeons. And what their goals are is to maintain a normal hip joint. Because you're so young, we don't like to do hip replacements in the young, and there are a number of things that you're trying to adjust through surgery. But at the age of 7, we don't often operate on Perthes, with some caveats. And so it depends on what the function is. And in your case, you had quite severe Perthes for an older child at 7, and what's called the lateral pillar, or the bone on the outside of the femoral head, had collapsed. And so because of that, your hip wouldn't function normally, and it wouldn't rotate in the socket. And that's why you would need an operation to allow your hip to move in the socket.
So just to give you also a bit of background, guys, of what happened back in the days to me. I was 7, as you can see, my situation was a bit severe. My parents were going crazy, so if you're a parent and you are watching this video, I feel you, I understand where you are coming from. My parents decided to go all over in Italy because they did not accept the answer from the doctor in Rome. By going all over in Italy, we found a doctor which was one of the main doctors in a hospital in Bologna. And he said to me, look, this case is very complex. I believe if we do this type of surgery, it might work. I cannot guarantee that, but I quite strongly believe that it's gonna work. So we decided to go for it. I've been lucky, then the surgery was a success. After that, I've been able to have a normal life, and the only issues was that when I was 25, I had the single surgery, and now that I'm 36, I will need to have a hip replacement. But in the meantime, I've been playing water polo, I've been dancing salsa, I've been playing paddle, everything, also with a few successes. So if you are a child, don't worry, there is still a possibility to have a normal life. So back to the operation that I've just shown you. The operation was creating a fracture on the femur because, correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm saying, because the fracture, the body reacted by leaving a lot of blood in the rotation. Because of the pressure unlocked the capillary that were locked in the body. And because I was still young and the bone could still grow, then the spica of the femur
I don't think that's quite what they did. For AVN, what they do is a thing called a 𝗲𝗏, right? Which is probably what you might have looked up. So they've not done, that's not what they've done here.
Okay.
So a 𝗲𝗏 is what you're describing. So in adults, like say you're 25 and you've got what's called AVN and your hip dies, then you put drills up into the bone, try and increase the blood supply and get it to heal.
Okay.
What they've done here is because of the shape of the head isn't quite right, they've done what's called a subtrochanteric 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗛 osteotomy. And they've done that because it moves the non-damaged part of your femoral head. Just imagine that this bit here is damaged, right? So if you move this down on here, you're walking on the damaged bit of your femoral head.
Yeah.
So what they've done is moved it around so that you're walking on the OK bit of the femoral head.
Okay.
Which stops you do what's called hinge abducting, because when you're trying to move your leg this way, because this is damaged, the whole hip needs to kind of sublux or dislocate to do it. So by doing this and you've got a normal sphere, it allows you to move your hip more normally. And it also stresses the muscles on this side to give them more strength. So it's quite a complex thing that they've done. It's more to make it more mechanically advantageous and to put the weight bearing on the good part of your femoral head, as opposed to give the blood supply back.
Okay. It's good to know that after 20 years, I understood what they did. Thank you. How can family best support their child emotionally during this treatment?
Children are typically extremely robust, and they also feed off the energy that we provide them. And so I think the most important thing with kids who are going through this is really supporting them through them having to avoid certain sports. It's hard to tell a 7-year-old boy that he can't play football, but it's really—
Especially if you're Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
Not now because of the World Cup, but yeah.
Where I work, it's more rugby league.
Oh, yeah.
But I think in that case, it's about, one, supporting them with their pain, so normal pain relief, anti-inflammatories and Panadol, and then supporting them through to redirect them to other things that are less high risk till that the disease has run its course and they're able just to return to normal activities.
I believe really important, the teachers. I still remember when I went to school, and at that time I was on a wheelchair, and something that maybe is very fun activity to do is being the head of the train. So I still remember all of the kids running behind me while I was the head of the train. So if you're a teacher, maybe this is an activity that you can consider. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you, doctor, for your time. Don't forget to be kind and smile. And now we have to say together, 𝗪𝗐𝗍𝗄.
Sure.
Okay? 1, 2, 3.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.